Alright guys, so it's been quite some time since we've checked out a product from LYPERTEK. They were one of the first pair of true wireless companies to come out with a lot of high-end features, and they were the first pair that kind of blew me away when it came to the sound quality, at least back in the day. But honestly, I've kind of forgotten about them with it being as long as it has since they've released a product. And also with all of the open ear clip-on style sport earbuds that we've checked out, I've kind of even forgotten about bone conduction headphones. Like the SOUNDFREE S30, which we're going to check out from LYPERTEK today. Can they make a comeback? I mean, remember, the thing about bone conduction is how little they leak sound, because they're relying more on the vibration of the speaker and not so much like the direction of a speaker channeling audio into your ear canal. Now, first off, the SOUNDFREE S30 comes in at $99, which is available in both black and white. I actually have both versions here, and they are a much more modernized version of bone conducting headphones, especially compared to the ones that I've tested in the past. Now, these have Bluetooth 6.0, which does give them multi-point connection, but they also have 32 gigabytes of storage built in. Now, what makes this different is it allows you to just store music onto the earbuds and not have to rely so much on your phone. And this is important because this pair also comes in with an IP68 rating, which means you can swim with these. You can even go underwater up to like 10 meters. So not having to be connected to your phone and have your music just on the headphones or earbuds themselves kind of makes this pretty convenient. Now, they're also dust protected as well. So this is honestly one of those pairs that you can just wear and not ever have to really worry about the environment that you're in. Now, the S30 does have a titanium frame, so it's really durable. It's very flexible. And honestly, it kind of reminded me of why this type of design was popular in the first place, because once I put them on and started doing things, I honestly just kind of even forgot that they were on my head at all. I will also say what makes these kind of unique is they do have this like safety light that you can turn on. So if you're going to be using them at night while walking, it allows people to kind of see where you're at. And it also has 3 different EQ modes built in. There's a balanced mode, a vocal mode, and a bass mode. Now, it's in balanced mode out of the box, and I did have to switch this into bass mode, which I will talk about a little bit more once we get to the sound. And you're able to do all of this because there are physical buttons on the headphones themselves, and I am happy to say that you do have control over everything out of the box. And this is huge because there's no app that these work with, so there's no ability to switch around controls. So it is a huge plus that you do have all of those controls right out of the box. Now, in the box, it does come with a little zippered pouch to be able to keep the headphones in. And it also comes with a charging cable, which actually is using magnets. And this is what is allowing these to be waterproof, because there's no ports or anything to open on the headphones. Again, this just magnetically connects to the headphones themselves to start charging. And this, again, is pretty convenient. And speaking of charging, I would say the battery life on these is just decent. It's not some of the best that I've seen, but it does give you 8 hours on a single charge, which is going to get everybody through like a full work day. So that's a huge plus. And then if you're going to use these for taking phone calls, it is using environmental noise canceling. So it's basically trying to just focus in on your voice while you're talking on phone calls and then just block everything else out around you. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is a mic test using the SOUNDFREE S30. I am outdoors, although it's not like a very loud day outside. I can hear some traffic a little off to the side. I can hear an AC unit, maybe like slight wind. But this is really just to give you an idea of what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So how do these actually sound? Well, it kind of reminded me of why I prefer air conduction style, especially the designs we've been checking out, like the clip-on style earbuds, because bone conduction is relying solely on vibration channeling audio through your bones. And it causes these to have like a warmer sound. Although I am going to say for bone conducting style headphones, these actually sound pretty great. Again, it just had that warmer tone to it overall. So I did go in and still go into the bass boost mode because I felt like for the most part, it still lacked that punch that I like with earbuds. And no matter what, you're not going to get that same bass presence with bone conducting, because it's just simply vibration and not necessarily hearing bass like you do in other products. Now, the mids on these, for the most part, sounded fine. It wasn't anything special like where it sounded up front or anything like that. I will say though, through more chaotic genres, I did feel like some instruments started to get a little bit mushy. It started to get a little bit kind of lost in the mix. Now, I didn't experience this with any vocals. It just seemed like, acoustic instruments and maybe even some guitars sounded kind of dull, especially in genres like metal. Now, the treble on these, for the most part, is fine. It's just not as dynamic as I prefer, especially, again, compared to other style earbuds and headphones. I felt like the details were there enough. It just kind of lacked that brightness to it. It just kind of lacked that dynamic feeling that I like to have, or that much more brighter treble, again, to kind of match out with a very punchy bass. So it's just kind of a different listening experience altogether. Now, I will say, when it comes to the soundstage and sound imaging, they are completely fine in this category. It sounds like you're in a very open area, because that's what these are designed to do. And being able to tell where things were coming from was actually really good in here. It almost had like a 3D effect to it without having, a spatial audio effect applied to it like we've seen in other type of products. So I really did enjoy them for that. So it sounded great with like movies and TV shows. It just kind of gave it more of a realistic feel. And even with music, it kind of sounded more like you're listening to the band or the artist or whatever in a more concert type environment. So in conclusion, I'm just going to go ahead and say that I'm not the biggest fan of bone conducting products. I think the air conduction style has just kind of taken me away from bone conduction and make me realize I can still get fairly similar sound to, regular true wireless earbuds and still be aware of my environment. But I am going to say this. Bone conduction basically causes it where there's no sound leak at all. Like, nobody around you is really going to be able to hear what you're listening to, because it's not really a speaker. It's vibrating on your head and not for anybody else to be able to hear. And the IP68 rating mixed with the 32 gigabytes of storage that's built into these, I am going to also say I can see this being very convenient for people, especially during the summer, that are out swimming a lot. To be able to go into the pool, swim, and just listen to your music, and you don't have to worry if like your head gets submerged. You can actually still hear music underwater, which is kind of trippy. That in itself, I can see a lot of people being interested in. It's just not really going to be beneficial to compare it to normal earbuds, which it was kind of hard not to do, because it is very close to trying to give you the same experience as air conduction. But between the two, I just prefer air conduction over bone conduction. But there are definitely benefits to bone conduction. So I think LYPERTEK does have a really nice product on their hand, but I think it's going to be for a very niche demographic. It's going to be people looking specifically for, waterproof and swimming and just no noise being leaked at all. And there are some benefits to having this type of product. But guys, that wraps up my video on the brand new LYPERTEK SOUNDFREE S30. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.